Today I'm chatting to Mika Vermeulen. Mika stays slap bang in a SAPPI pine plantation near Mbombela or Nelspruit. Mika, thank you so much for your time.
No problem, it's awesome.
Mika, what brings you to a plantation?
Well, it's my husband, actually. That's how I ended up here. He studied forestry, and then after graduating, he got a job in a plantation. It took me a few years to join because I'm still studying. So I was traveling all over the country doing field work, and eventually, as what my studies allowed me to be a bit more flexible in my permanent living situation, I moved in onto the plantation with him. Yeah.
And that's years ago already, hey?
Yeah, permanently since 2020, but long term, it's been like in plantation, off plantation for quite a few years prior to that. Yeah.
So where you are now, is that relatively close to the Fani Botha hiking trail?
Yeah, we're not far from the SAPPI area. Probably like half an hour's drive. So yeah, we are close to that area. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I remember also, I can't remember how many years ago, but when I hiked it, it really was special for me, the misty, quiet atmosphere inside the pine plantations. And so for me, those houses or huts of forestry always looked very idyllic, and it looks so nice to live there, is it?
I mean, it's not for everyone, that's for sure. We both outdoorsy people. We love being active and going for walks and walking to waterfalls and hiking and all of that. So I mean, it's perfect for us. We don't have kids, so we don't have to worry about schooling and all of those type of things. So we can be a bit more selfish in where we choose to live. So for us, it's perfect. We love the living out in a remote area. It's awesome, but it's definitely not for everyone.
Why do you say that? What are some of the challenges?
It's very quiet. It can be very isolating, and it's difficult to establish a community, a sense of community in the area with so few people and everybody living so far away from each other. It's not often everybody can get together and meet new people. I mean, we've moved to this plantation the end of last year, and we're still trying to meet new people and figure out who everyone is. It just takes time. So if you're a very outgoing, busy, active person, it could be a lot to get used to, that's for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like you mentioned that you are studying, and I know that you are busy with your PhD in nature conservation.
Yes. Yeah.
What specifically are you studying?
Oh, I could talk about this for ages. My work is based predominantly in the Kalahari region. I love those arid areas, and it's sort of climate change based work I'm looking at. So I'm looking at mammal activity patterns. So gemsbok, blue wildebeest, eland, those sort of species, when they're active, when they're not active, and how temperature drives them to choose the activity patterns, and sort of how managers can influence that to help those animals persist when things get hotter and drier in that region.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Wow, that's very amazing.
Yeah. Lots of field work, so I love it.
So then you travel a lot, I guess.
Yeah. With COVID, it's diminished quite a bit, and I'm trying to wrap up my thesis. So fieldwork is not as much as what it used to be, but I love it. Yeah.
Lovely. I always felt, like I said, the misty pine plantation feeling. It's a bit like a chapel. It's quiet and tall, but isn't it also quite maybe not dry and not arid, but sterile in a pine plantation where it being not indigenous and everything else? How do you find ecosystems in that plantation? Does it exist?
It does. It's quite a unique system. It's not so typically what happens with agriculture, with the whole monoculture environment. It's it's a bit more sterile there than what you find here. The systems you have here with big, large trees and lots of canopy and undergrowth, it allows other species to persist. So the bird life is still really great. We've still got lots of reedbuck and steenbok and duiker and things like that. So, I mean, at the beginning of the year, we came across fresh leopard spoor not far from the house. So there's definitely still activity, even though it's not indigenous forest. The pockets of indigenous forest between the plantation really allows for these animals to persist. So it's not as sterile as one would think. It's not great. It's not indigenous forest, but it's something.
And less so than agriculture and farmland.
Yeah, generally speaking, it's better.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, that makes me very happy, because then I don't need to leave my wonderful memories and think, oh, okay, it was only something bad. That's wonderful. I'm glad.
Yeah.
And then on to more mundane things, Mika. Even an academic living in a lovely setting must clean her house.
Yes.
So, you've been using our products a few years. I'm curious, how did you find us and why did you choose us?
So I found Mrs. Martins actually on social media. I'd been looking for a long time for cleaning alternatives. A lot of the places I did field work, it's not like what you find in the city. You don't flush the toilet or empty your drains and it goes into a big pipe and disappears and you don't know where it goes, or to a wastewater treatment works. A lot of these systems have French drains, and then the water just drains back into the groundwater and you end up eventually drinking that. So a lot of the places I worked at, they used alternative cleaning products. So I was always looking in the shops and online for various options. And especially when we moved more permanently, or myself more permanently, to the plantation, I know our drinking water and our groundwater mixed. So I didn't really want to be drinking stuff that was harmful to me. So I took it up more seriously, looked at other options, and I found you guys on social media, and I really liked the idea of it. So I researched the sort of science behind it, and it really intrigued me. And our drains never stink. Everything feels clean, looks clean, smells clean. So it's working. And I feel much better using these products. So it works for us. Yeah.
Wonderful. I'm very happy to hear that. The technology behind it is quite amazing, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah, I love it.
So, Mika, just the last question. We in the middle of July, well, just past the middle of July. And this is a month that traditionally responsible clients or consumers think about plastic-free July and ways to use less and less plastic. For myself, I always think that the discovery of plastic wasn't all bad. I mean, it's a very cheap, lightweight, strong material, and all those things make for it has its own advantages, but unfortunately it also brings disadvantages, obviously, like that you can hardly destroy it. What's your view of plastic? And if you can give us just your biggest tip on how to avoid single-use plastic.
Oh, well, definitely we need plastic. You can't remove that from our lives. It's necessary. So I'd say my tip is to reuse. You have to reuse. And I think the best way to do that is to support companies like Mrs. Martins that really, on their side of things, encourages reuse. So like by you guys allowing us to send you the containers that you send the products in, because by yourself, you make a huge difference. But if you can get companies on board and you are in a position where you can choose which companies you support, it's definitely better if you can support those companies that are aligning their goals with yours. So by recycling is great, but reusing multiple times before you recycle is way better.
Yeah, I agree. I often think for 4 years now, I'm using the same spray bottles. And to think if one would chuck one of those away every month, how many bottles one actually did keep off landfill. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's scary if you start thinking about it like that. So it's literally every bottle, every big jug you have, it makes such a difference.
Yeah, it does.
Mm.
Mika, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Yes, thank you very much.